All programming relies on the use of variables. A variable is like a container that can store information that you can use throughout the program. For example, you might store names, dates, ages, salaries, lists of friends, itineraries, or anything your program needs. At my house, I have a lot of boxes to store things that I only use once in a while. For example, I have a box with Christmas lights, another box that has pictures, and another one that has camping gear, and, well, you get the idea. I've got a lot of boxes in my storage room. Each box has a label on it, so I can find what I need later. It's important to make sure these labels are clear and descriptive. If I only put CL on my box of Christmas lights, or a piece of blue tape on my photos, I might remember it today, but I'll probably forget later. Also, no one else besides me would have any idea what's in the CL box or blue tape box. Variables are like these boxes. Each one has a label and each can store something. The storage room in my computer is the computer's memory. You store information in a variable like this: name equals Bob, in quotes, and age equals 35. When you do this, it puts the information in the box. When you want to get the information back out of the box, you can just use the variable name. Creating variables in Python is easy. We just need a descriptive name and a value. There are lots of types of variables in programming, but the two most common are strings and numbers. A string is a collection of characters, like a word or a sentence. When I write name equals Bob, I'm creating a string variable called name, and I'm storing the collection of characters BOB in the variable box that has the name label on it. Notice that I have quotes around Bob. That's how we tell Python that I want to store a string in the name variable. In Python, you can use single or double quotes interchangeably, but it's best to be consistent. I like to use double quotes because that's how I learned to create strings. Now let's create a number variable. When I write age equals 24, I'm creating a variable called age, and I'm storing the number 24 in it. Notice that numbers don't have quotes around them. If they did, we'd be storing a string instead of a number. That's important to remember because we can only do math with numbers, not strings. Now that we have two variables created with values stored in them, we can just use the variable name or label to access the value when we need to remember or use it in our code later. For example, I can print what a variable stores like this. Print, and then I put the variable name inside the parentheses. And if I want to print my number, I use print, and I put my variable age inside the parentheses. We can run this, and we can see that Bob and 24 printed out. We can also change what is stored in a variable like this. Now 34 is stored in the age variable box, and the 24 is gone. So if I print age, my program will find the age box in memory and see that the 34 is now stored in it. Now let's run this and see what happens. Now we can see in our output that we have printed Bob from our first print statement, we've printed 24 from our second print statement, and we've printed 34 from the last print statement. It's interesting that the second print statement printed 24 and the third print statement printed 34. That's important to notice because code runs sequentially from the top to the bottom. And we changed the age to 34 and then printed it, and it didn't change what printed out when we printed before the change. And now you know the basics of creating and using variables, and a little bit of sequential programming.